Just the questions, or is there an opening? Is it?
No, the questions are fine.
Are we ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
okay.
we're ready.
Okay, Mr. Dixon, please discuss rules, expectations, procedures, and protocols for your in your class for this year.
So this year we'll be using the CHAMPS model in class. So essentially, what CHAMPS is a behavioral management strategy where every event that happens in class has guidelines that the students can refer to. For instance, conversation level, completely dependent on whatever the activity is. So say if I'm teaching a lesson, obviously you don't want students disturbing each other. So conversation level would be at a 0, activity would be you're supposed to take notes, or movement would be absolutely none because you don't want them to miss out on instructional time. Then participation would be either discussing with a peer when necessary, or writing. And the last word in the acronym is success, S. So that meaning that if you follow the guidelines, it's impossible for you not to be successful in the activity that you're doing. So another one is, but it applies for various parts of class. That means including times when no instruction is going on. So that means like hallway, for instance. Hallway expectations. I know at our school that's also a 0, but there are times when the students get to converse, like in small groups. So, for instance, in a small group, they can talk on a 1, or at centers they can converse on a 2. So, Also, we took a test during pre-service, and I found that I was medium structure. So
Explain what medium structure means.
So medium structure means that my personality allows for a lot more leeway in what the students can and can't do. For instance, I don't have a stapler, for instance, not having a pencil sharpener in the classroom, like completely removing the pencil sharpener, would be high structure. I have a pencil sharpener, but the students have to raise their pencil in the air, and then I motion to them, and then they come bring it to me, and I sharpen it for them. So that would be like medium structure. That would be medium structure, which is what I plan on happening in class, or which has happened in class. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the students follow CHAMPS expectations.
Yes.
What are your expectations versus your rules? So they know that they're supposed to be on this voice level and use this, ask for this type of help and during this type of activity, but what are the set rules in the classroom?
Set rules, and this goes to like keeping the environment conducive to learning. I've got a couple of rules, and those rules are respect each other,
okay,
respect the speaker, respect each other in action, respect each other in words, and respect each other's thoughts. So those are my 3 big rules, my big 3,
okay,
for lack of better. And I plan on getting those posted in front, getting a poster blown up into a poster. But yeah, those are the big 3: respect each other in words, respect each other in actions, and respect each other in thoughts.
Okay, so those are expectations versus rules/norms.
Right.
Procedures and protocols, do those fall under expectations as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All of the CHAMPS pretty much falls under procedures, like what you should be doing at this given time, and the rules are, the non-negotiables. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. So it kind of leads into the next question. In what ways have you created a safe and positive learning environment outside of your big three, if you will, in which your students feel valued and show respect for each other? So we know in words, in actions.
Yeah. And I guess that also like applies to me, making sure that my language is affirming and is always geared towards boosting their confidence and when something does go wrong, making sure that I push them in the direction of learning how to conflict resolve in a positive manner. So,
Okay. What strategies are you using to ensure that your students' needs are being met? So academically, socially, emotionally, content-wise.
mm-hmm. One thing that I really want to do this year is I want to make sure that I provide the students with not only differentiation with what they know, their knowledge and their skills, but also in learning styles. So I want to make sure that I have visual aids. I want to make sure that they have like kinetic, like a chance to practice math by movement, you know. So for instance, for one of we're doing ratios and proportions this year. So for instance, in order to find a unit rate, maybe we can go outside and we'll like do a race, and then they can find their unit rates and stuff like that and compare them, and we'll somehow make it into we'll gamify it somehow. The person with the fastest unit rate or then I don't know what the reward will be, but we'll try. Yeah. That's one thing I want to try out this year. So
reinforcement.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. You talked about differentiation and not just. So you talked about the different modes of learning, but what does academic differentiation look like?
Academic differentiation. That looks like, for me, small groups. So what I planned on doing was during center time, one of the centers would be with me. And that would essentially be where I work on skills that someone may be lacking in, or maybe after an assessment that they didn't do well in, and we just get our opportunity to have a more like intimate lesson with just 3 people that all like have trouble with the same skill or thing.
And how do you determine that? How do you determine which students are having issues with which skills? That kind of leads into my next question, because we're transitioning to standards-based assessments this year. So how do you monitor? How do you progress monitor? So that you can utilize that data to drive instruction.
Right. So there'll be a skill taught, a skill each week, and people that achieve like 80% or more, that would be like mastery, or 75% or more would be not mastery, but that would be okay. And anyone who got below that, they would, in that small group with me, they would work on that skill, and then eventually, maybe Friday again, be testing that skill, and we'd see whether they grew or not based off of like that small group, intimate instruction.
And so while you're working in smaller differentiated groups, what are other students doing at that time?
So I have different centers. One center is statistics, and that's demonstrate what that one looks like. So statistics would be, I have NBA like stats, nightly stats, and the kids basically they find the mean, median, mode, and range of like Steph Curry's stats for the season. And there's geometry where we have geometric figures, and the kids will find like the surface area. I'll say, hey, find the volume for this shape. The working groups find the volume for this shape, also the surface area for this shape. Then there's also one where the kids are on the computers playing math playground, and that's pretty much like algebraic expressions and things like that, because they're working on exponents and multiplication and all of those like foundational skills. And then I'll have a Khan Academy on the computers where the kids that need to be pushed ahead can be pushed ahead, and the kids that need to work on like foundational skills can work on their foundational skills. So
Okay. And so the last question, which kind of leads into it, how do you distribute your time appropriately? Whole group time versus guided practice, independent practice, small group time, student-led activities. Are centers happening every day? Are they happening twice a week to ensure that the standard is being taught, retaught after assessment? Is your time being distributed appropriately?
yeah, no, actually, what I did, the very first thing I did was think about how I wanted the class to look and how I can set it up so that we have time for guided practice, we have time for direct instruction, and we have a wealth of time, or half the class, for centers. So the way the day would look like is we start off with the PDN, and after the PDN, then there'll be a Kahoot, which would essentially be the review of what we learned before. And then after the Kahoot, then we go into the instructional part, and then they'll be assessed using the On Your Own and the Go Math curriculum. And then after that, they'll get a visual. They'll get a visual of the skill that we're learning, and then there'll be a peer review / like exit slip after they do like their elbow partner work, which is also has a champs. And then after elbow partner work / the exit slip and the peer review, then that'll be center time. So yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.